My last question to the both of you focuses on the New Hampshire budget situation. Robin mentioned it in her opening statement about the Chamber's position on certain issues, and I think that the business leaders in this audience would love for the two of you to use your legislative experiences between the two of you to campaign for things that business supporters are obviously pressing for in this session. We are facing a deficit. Decisions are about to be announced and soon to be made by the legislature on how to bring the budget back into balance. Would the two of you be willing to pledge opposition to the LLC tax for a full repeal and an end of the conversation about things like fair compensation? This group, I'm sure, would like to know if business taxes can stay off the table, and also in your summary about where you would be willing to go. At what point do the cuts get too deep? And at what point do we start talking about a new tax proposal, such as perhaps an income tax or a sales tax? Anything that you want in all of that. But what would your advice be to the governor, to the legislature, and what positions would you be willing to take on these issues?
Who do you want to start?
Go ahead, Governor.
Look, those are easy commitments to make. If you want to know how far back you can cut, all you have to do is look at the states around the country. They cut back 2.5% in this budget. Bring this budget spending back to even. Take a 2.5% margin on the spending side. You can cut it back to there. Cut. What happened just a week ago? In the House committee, they passed unanimously $47 million of Republican cuts as proposed by Sherman Packard and the Republicans in the House. What happened? No leadership from the governor on it, and the liberal leadership in the House decided that even though their committee that they controlled voted unanimously to have those $47 million in cuts, they defeated it. Don't believe that we are spending. Don't believe we are overspending because we have to. We are overspending because there is no leadership to cut it back to where it should be. I make an absolute commitment, and I tell you, I know Sherman Packard and Peter Bragdon well enough to say they join me in saying we ought to at least cut it back to zero growth in spending in this budget. Secondly, the LLC tax has to be repealed. John Lynch has to come to his senses and push the House and Senate to do the right thing. The Senate did it, and the House is now dragging its feet. You, as members of the business community, have to take some leadership. It's nice for you to say, well, I don't think we supported it last time. Oppose it vehemently. Because if you don't, you are going to lose your supporting small business. They're going to move out. For the last 3 years, more people have moved out of the state than have moved in. That's a travesty. Cut spending, cut taxes, bring back fiscal responsibility in the spirit of the old-time Democrats and the Republican Party in this state. Let's restore New Hampshire. Let's not be satisfied with being fourth or fifth in per capita taxes. Let's get us back to where we used to be, first and the lowest in per capita taxes, and that's by showing some discipline on the budget side.
Chairman Buckley?
I believe that by the end of the session that the LLC tax will be repealed. Clearly, there were a number of unintended consequences and loopholes that were created but because of some investigation of that, I think that it will be repealed by the end. No, there's not going to be any income tax in the state of New Hampshire. No, there's not going to be a sales tax in the state of New Hampshire. Now, look at how Governor Sununu keeps talking about these 41 taxes, and I know that's talking points, but the other day I was debating somebody that was representing Governor Sununu, but he was saying 60 taxes, and then a couple of weeks ago I had another Republican say it was 20 taxes. Y'all need to kind of figure out how many taxes you're going to, if you're going to make up a story.
You hid them so well, we're having trouble finding them all.
But the reality is all you have to do is look back at how Republicans reacted to hard times that were nowhere near the challenge of this. And when Doug Scanlon was Speaker in 1990, he left the podium and he went down and he asked for really 41 tax increases. And he says, nobody likes to raise taxes, but we all today must be statesmen. And we must raise every single one of these taxes. That's what Doug skimmed. That's what Republican leadership, in an economic decline that was nowhere near what we were facing this last couple of years.